Just a few days ago, I got invited early to test some of the new changes coming to the Realm rework, and today I want to show you some of these exciting new changes. So, first things first, we have biomes, and as I discussed in the previous video, which if you haven't watched, you should go check out, biomes are a new feature coming into the Realm rework, and these are going to be areas that have different enemies and different bosses that spawn within them. And these look great. Because this is testing and is meant for feedback, these biomes are not finished and have a few placeholder sprites in place as well. So all of these will look a lot more polished by the time they're actually in the game. And to start, I want to showcase some of the new biomes of the veteran difficulty. Now, these are obviously works in progress as I just said, but the concept behind them and the difficulty of the enemies proves to be significantly harder than anything we've faced in the realm before. On screen now is gameplay of the Floral Escape, which is a new veteran biome, and all of the enemies here feel significantly harder to kill than Godland's enemies. But whenever I was on a ranged class, I felt like I could take care of the enemies very well at a distance, but when I had to back up and was forced into a situation where I didn't have plenty of room to dodge, it quickly became very difficult on a ranged class. On the night, however, it did not feel like I was in any real danger, as long as I was paying attention. Now, I take this with a grain of salt because this was on testing, and I didn't actually care if I lost the character. The next area I came across, though, did not share this same lack of threat. The Carboniferous felt extremely scary almost at all times, and while working on fighting one of the biome-specific events, Sebtruth was even popped in this area because of, well, this menace. And me being the player I am, I learned from other people's mistakes. And this guy is an AFK check at all times. If you are looking away from your screen or not paying attention, this guy can come out of nowhere and will absolutely destroy you instantly. To be honest, I hope his speed gets nerfed just a little bit so that you actually have time to react, because if not, he's going to create a lot of free character slots. And while we're on the topic, let's talk about some of the biome-specific events. This one being the Ravenous Rot. This event alone gave me a ton of hope for the future, because this is by far one of the most unique events in the game, and if it was added into the current realm today, I think it would be the most engaging fight of any overworld enemy. And if all the other mid and end-game areas have fights that are similarly as engaging as this one, then the realm is going to be in a way more healthy spot, because this thing cannot be steamrolled. I'm sure that it can be done much faster than me and Sebtruth did it, but this thing takes time, and it is a lot of precision dodging, which is only something that is implemented in dungeons so far. And by introducing enemies into the realm that require this dissection, tactical, slow, methodical movement, it creates a new style of play that you don't have to leave the realm in order to get. The next area I want to talk about is the Runic Tundra. The Runic Tundra is probably my favorite biome introduced so far, and it is basically just an ice wonderland. The ground itself is not actually ice, so you don't have to worry about slipping and sliding everywhere, and once a little bit more foliage or texture is added, I feel like it will be one of the most enjoyable places to farm. Relative to a lot of the other biomes, this one felt like a good mix of threat level and difficulty. If I was paying attention and being diligent with how I was clearing, I never felt like I was at risk of getting insta-popped, but I constantly had to be aware of my health because the enemies did do a lot of damage. It never felt easy. And this is exactly what I think Deca is going for. They want these types of biomes that are very difficult and keep you on your toes at all times, no matter how good your character is. And this biome made me realize there may be a meta shift once again where range classes go into the realm and are just clearing as a group just by blasting away at a distance. And I could really see people farming in the realms regularly as long as these things drop decent items and or stat potions. Another thing worth noting, if you TP to the Godlands right now on a level 1, it feels very feasible to stay alive. Yes, you have to run away, and yes, you kind of have to leech off of other players in order to clear the enemies for you, whereas here, if you TP straight to this area on a level 1 character, you're gonna die. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's just too many shots and too many threats at all times, and one of them will come out and get you. And I think this is a really good thing. People can't just TP to the endgame areas and then just expect to be okay. You have to go through at least some of the more mid-game areas in order to work your way up to farming here. Once you're a fresh level 20, I feel like this area could be farmed relatively well, but it's going to be scary and you're going to risk losing your character a lot. And since I don't have a lot of good footage of the Sanguine Forest, the last veteran biome I want to talk about is the Deep Sea Abyss. This biome feels like the most polished out of all of the ones available currently for testing. And after exploring around it a little bit, something that makes it even more engaging is the sprites. There are large enemies that just pop out of the screen and go, I am a danger, I am a threat. And, well, ironically enough, some of these enemies felt pretty underwhelming. The idea of having frequent mini-boss type enemies in an area seems really engaging, and I really hope they lean into this mechanic more with a bunch of the other biomes. Now, I want to talk about the rest of the event bosses I got to try out during this testing, but before doing so, I just want to point out how great two of the adept biomes look, which is the Haunted Hallows and the Sprite Forest. Both of these look absolutely fantastic, and considering that they are supposed to be about similar difficulty to the current Godlands, these will be great places to farm, and the idea of being able to farm things like magic woods, sprite worlds, cemeteries, manors, and other things like that in these biomes really gets me excited, because it will be so much better than just running around the black slate tile of the Godlands. If you've made it this far in the video, you at least like the content a little, so please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and telling me what you think in the comments below. Thank you. First up is the Animal Merchant, and this is something that is a very easy steamroll if you have in-game gear, and I think that's completely okay because it is not meant to be run by in-game players. Once power levels are introduced, the Animal Merchant will likely only be recommended to players below a certain power level, so rather than being suggested in-game content that they aren't prepared for, people who are on fresh level 20s or are grinding their character up to try and get it maxed will get recommended enemies like these, which are a lot more engaging than just something like a horned drake in the realm. Very similar in difficulty is the Alpha Werewolf. The Alpha Werewolf kind of has a design almost like a pentaract in a sense, but instead of it being all 5 pentaract towers being nearby each other, these Alpha Werewolves are more spread out throughout the entirety of a Haunted Hallows. From what I gather, there's probably about 6 to 10 of these that spawn per event, and they all have a chance to drop a biome-specific UT. The Elder Sprite Tree is yet another one of these biome-specific events, and it looks like a pretty easy boss at the moment, and I imagine there's a good chance they make it a little bit more difficult by the time it hits production. But it is meant to be a more mid-game boss rather than late game. And let's just take a second to appreciate how good this sprite looks. Especially in the context of being within this sprite forest, this boss looks amazing. And the last biome-specific event boss I want to show off is the Flying Behemoth. The Flying Behemoth is not very melee friendly, and while it does have a placeholder sprite at the moment, that doesn't change how it plays. And based on my session fighting against it, it feels very similar in difficulty to the Avatar of the Forgotten King, with these little tornadoes around the outside constantly respawning and doing damage to you unless you kill them. With a group of maxed out range characters, I think this event will actually be pretty easy in the long run unless there's some more changes to it. With that being said, it does have a much more in-depth fight than most of the events in the realm by far. So, once it gets a little bit more polish, I have a lot of hope for it being really good. Overall, this testing session gave me a lot of hope for the future of the realm. And really, a lot of the things that I disliked about this testing session had to do with just not being polished and not being finished. Once the dev team has time to actually polish this and make it a finished product, it will be significantly better than the realm in its current state. If you want to go ahead and try it out for yourself, the public testing is still open for this as of the release of this video. So go ahead, try it out for yourself, and give some of these bosses a spin. They've even added a free box for you to try all of the biome-specific UTs, but a few other creators have made great videos covering those, so I'll leave that to someone else. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. That way, this video reaches more people, and more people can be aware of the update. I really appreciate all of you, and have a great rest of your day. Peace.